Big T, Denver, Minnesota.
3 days off, Nuggets big. Me and JBC ride together. I can't wait till they whoop them because I've seen your shit-eating grin for the last fucking week. And I'm going to get a shirt made that says we were down 2-0 and we own JSU's ass.
Early morning NBA Hardwood show today. We got the champs here. That's Big T. Look at him. He's so happy. This is what happens, guys, when you let them get even one game. He couldn't wait to text me. Oh, he was texting me right at the end of the game with my man, Big T, who's about ready to shame me with the end of you. I knew it was coming, too. Go for it, Tony. Take it. Big T posting that damn video again. I swear to God, if you post that damn video again, I'm going to go fucking nuke on Twitter.
Yeah, and get him, man. Let him know, baby.
We're back for a little NBA Hardwood, and I got my man Big T and Big Ant behind me here. So I don't want to go too far. There was a familiar tweet that really got me going. I just want to share it with everyone here.
Oh, can't wait to see it. I like that. This video is longer when you're on the other side.
This video is fire right there. And we are back for a little NBA action here with my boy Big T back in the house here, back in the saddle after, I'll say it for you, Big T. You've had a rough stretch here. I don't know if the people really know, but you've been gutting it out here a little bit. You've been down, but you're battling back. You're battling through. It's game 5, Minnesota versus Dallas, and we had to come on for the people. The people love it. We had to come on and make sure the people were happy. How you doing here? Feeling a little better today?
Yeah, down but not out. Haven't felt great the last week, but feeling better now. And we don't know how many more NBA games we're going to get this year, so we want to come on. Maybe this series stretches out. I know last year this time we had Miami up 3-0. Boston came back and won 3. Got us the full 7. This series, I wouldn't mind going 7 again. I like this series. It's fun. I don't want a week off with no hoops, too. So, and I got Minnesota series action, too, which I already counted as a loss. Maybe we grind back and get in there with a little Minnesota 4 straight victories. I mean, eventually it's going to happen. It's never happened. The numbers are like crazy, 182-0 or something. Eventually, someone's going to win 4 straight and come back and win a series. It could easily be this one with the way these teams are built. Every game's been close. I'd be lying, though, if I was confident either way tonight. I think it's another good game, and I think whichever stars play better will probably win. First 3 games, it was Luka and Kyrie. Last game, it was Ant and Cat. Cat stepped up, made some threes. I don't quite agree with Barkley and those guys. We're not Cat fans. But they were just killing him for shooting threes. And I know he was 4 for 32, and everyone was making fun of him and stuff. But he was getting good looks. Last game, he makes threes. And all of a sudden, those guys are like, well, it's because he drove to the hole and he got this and that. And I'm like, no, he just made shots, guys. It's a make-or-miss league.
To be fair, Shaq still killed them for shooting them. I'll say that. Stupid. Shaq is the one dude. He at least doesn't go back on what he says. He just – I at least respect that he never does that, Tony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I agree with that.
He thinks that those dudes need to get down low, post up, and dominate like he used to do. And it's like that's not Cat's game. That's
not basketball these days. Like
it's not.
You don't want these dudes posting up. Not only is Cat not built to do that, but that's why would you want Cat posting up rather than shooting threes? And I know he's shot terrible the first 3 games. Whatever. I'm not a Cat fan. But, like, if I did like Cat and I was a Minnesota fan, I definitely want him shooting threes over post-ups. Just the last series versus Denver, he beat me with post-ups. I was still thrilled to watch him shoot post-ups. I was
thrilled. Your one take would be he's not making them, so get your ass down in the post and try and get a layup.
I somewhat agree with that. Like, just even if it's one trip, get down in there, get fouled. Get something going, but not every trip. I mean, get back to the arc. I do agree with that, though. If you're missing, try to get to the free throw line, try to get some easy buckets. But, I mean, give the man some credit last game. He stepped up. We kill Cat more than anyone on these shows. He was great last game. He made shots and big shots. When they needed them, he made them. And right when you thought Dallas was going to pull back away, he hit 2 big threes. Give him his flowers. And when he plays good, we kill him when he plays bad, we got to also give him his flowers when he plays good. So he played good last game.
Yeah, he played good. He hit some timely threes. He stayed in the game, right, for a little bit. Like that helped a little
Those
bit
fouls were
at the end.
freaking idiotic again, though. I
Fouls
mean,
were
you can't stay
terrible.
away from them. If you got
I
4
mean, they were
fouls
just
and
so
you
bad.
dive into a guy's face, you're just an idiot. Come on.
It's just one of those things too. Like he just can't help it. Like he's gonna stay in the game as long as he can, but he can't help.
And
Even
then he
Rudy
still
though, Rudy
argues.
had
Why does he
5
still
fouls.
always argue? Like, it's the most obvious offensive foul I've ever seen in my life, and he's still arguing about it. Like, dude, what? You hit him right in the face.
Yeah. I mean, they were all in foul trouble, though. I don't know if you remember at halftime, they were like all sitting on the bench because Ant had 3 fouls with, I think, 4 minutes to go or something like that. Cat had 3 fouls. I think even Rudy had 3 fouls. So all their asses are sitting down. And they're, you got to give Minnesota credit for winning that game when all those guys were in foul trouble at some point during that game. And, Cat obviously down the stretch, but still found a way to affect the game, make some big shots for the team. Ant played really well. I will say this, and everyone knows I'm the biggest Ant supporter out there. I still am. I'll be honest, he played like straight ass the first 3 games. Like even the third game where everyone was like he played good, I still didn't think he played good for a full 4 quarters. I think he played good for like 2 quarters of the 4, but he finally, to me, played like, I would say, like, not a great game, but a good game. I still have an issue with the turnovers. For some reason, Tony,
God, he's had some
some
bad ones.
boneheaded turnovers, like
Some really bad ones.
and they come out of nowhere. But I think what it is in the playoffs, he's had to play with the ball in his hands more and more as these series have gone and gone deeper. And I think that's one of the issues. Mike Conley had the ball in his hands a lot more during the regular season. I feel like just from watching them, and in the postseason, I feel like Ant, which is why you've seen his assists. I mean, look at his assist numbers, Tony: 7, 8, 7, 9, and 9. They've ticked up recently, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's due to him taking more ownership of being that point guy with the ball in his hands more and not just being Conley. But I also think that's not really his game, and I think he's trying to learn it on the fly. So you're going to see
He's
some
22
bad
years old.
games.
People forget that. And you're a fan. I think he's awesome talent. I mean, he's 22. He's never seen coverages. Playoffs are different than regular season. You're not going to see the same coverages because it's freaking regular season. It's a whole different world. He's going to be so much better from this playoff run. It's going to be insane. Whether they win, lose in this series doesn't matter. I mean, he is going to be so much better next year from this playoff run. And the weird part for me in this series with him, last series he looked huge to me, like just big out there. This series he looks small for some reason, just straight eyeball test, and it's just weird to me. And that was against Gordon and all the big bodies last series. So maybe it's just his aggression level where he's not.
You mean like he actually looked physically?
Yeah, like he just looked. Maybe it's because Luka's just so like fat and big too. Like he just is big. Like he just looks little to me out there compared to last
Denver
year.
was pretty big too. I
know Denver's huge. That's what I'm saying. That's why. And it's probably just the aggression level, honestly. And he was destroying Gordon. He's not getting as good of looks because they're shading guys over. And Dallas is doing a great job on D. And I mean, I'll give you credit. You called it right when they made the trades. I remember we talked about it.
Yeah.
You're like, they're going to be much better on D. And they are. And I'll give them their credit. I mean, some of these teams sit. And I know my buddy from the Warriors, that Esfandiari guy, he's been whining about it all playoffs. That the Warriors keep sitting on their team. Denver sat on their team. Let's give these teams credit. Dallas made good trades. They got Kyrie when no one wanted them. And they got this year, obviously, Gafford and PJ when they were buying low on them too. So they made great deals to get this stuff done. And even Boston made moves to get where they got, even though.
And I feel like those moves also helped some of the young guys they had on their team. Like I feel like those moves helped someone like Derek Lively. Because if you watched him in the beginning of the season and you watch him now, Tony, he's a different player. He's a completely different player. And whether that's he's fully like learned his role and bought into his role and what he needs to do out there. But I feel like someone like Dan Gafford coming over as a veteran who's already played his role a little bit probably helped him out a little bit, kind of learning from someone like him who's already he's not Derek Lively. Like Derek Lively's better than Daniel Gafford, but he can play a similar role to Lively. So I feel like it's good when you have another guy who's similar to you, that's a little older, been through it for a little bit longer, and you have someone to bounce.
That's the best part about these three guys. Kyrie, PJ, and Gafford have all seen the high, well, not even the highs, the lows, though, of the league, where they've lost games, they've been embarrassed in their spots, and they've learned from it, and they're tougher from it. And that helps Lively, like you said, as a young guy, because these guys are veterans now. Even Gafford hasn't been around like crazy long, but I mean, he's played in some terrible situations.
Yeah.
So he's seen the bad of it, and now you bring it all together, and it just works. It reminds me a lot of the Denver run last year where guys come together, where Kyrie's the number 2. It just works. It's just good. And I mean, Tyson Chandler is a good point too. Yeah.
That's another point that he's been working with them. He talked about him on the podcast. Was it Steven Jackson's podcast? Him and was Matt Barnes or something like? Was
I don't
it their
even
podcast?
know. I saw it on like Sports Center where they were working, so I saw a different thing.
Oh, that was a clip of them like in practice. But he was on a podcast recently, specifically talking about him working with Derek Lively and checking him out. Like they told him before the draft they were looking at this kid, and he reminded them of Tyson, young Tyson Chandler, and so Tyson was like, "Oh, let me check him out," and they started working together. So yeah, it was that was cool listening to it. I forget which podcast it was on, but I think it was that All the Smoke podcast. I could be wrong. The one with Steven Jackson and maybe Matt Barnes, but that's definitely got to be something too. I think they just fit too with Luka and Kyrie for that matter. Fit perfectly. So, and you made good points. Dallas's defense has been way better. They've ramped up for sure. Everyone was talking about Minnesota's defense, Tony, and they might have just took that personally. You know what I mean? Like a little personal that everyone was talking up this Minnesota defense and what they were going to do to them. And they're like, well, wait a second. And Kyrie's shown me that in this series. Like Kyrie, for a few of these games, has played really, really good on the defensive end. And everyone just looks at what he does offensively, but his defense, to me, individually has been a spark for that team, just the way he's tried to lock up when he's gotten on Ant and had that matchup. So, by the way, too, side note, but how sick was that left-handed floater going left over Rudy? That it was like a hook floater on the left side. One of the most ridiculous shots over a dude as tall as Rudy. That degree of difficulty on that, Tony, is just absolutely insane. And he made it look easy, just effortless. Kyrie Irving's amazing.
Same thing he made over Jokic in the game winner versus Denver. That I don't know how he makes these.
Was that going right though? Or was that going?
It was the same thing. It was going across the middle with the other way. It was the same side.
I thought it was in the middle though. This was harder.
It was more in the middle, but he was going that direction. It was the same direction where he shot it left. Either way, he made 2 lefties over 7-footers.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. I thought that the angle to me was just what made it so amazing because he didn't use glass.
It was absolutely. And then they made another lefty who made the next bank shot. It wasn't as smooth, but it was a lefty banker 2 trips later. It was one of their scrubs, Dallas's scrubs. It was like
Josh Green. Or Jaden Hardy,
maybe, or someone hit a
Jaden Hardy
bank shot 3 trips later.
It might have been Jaden Hardy, but yeah.
One of the scrubs, Exum. It was Exum.
Oh, Exum. There we go.
The lefty bank shot, that. At that point, I was like, man, Dallas is going to sweep them. They're banking in. They're shooting left-handed miracles.
But yeah. No. So what do you think?
This dude, King is. What's the chances this dude's over 40 years old? He's got to be over 40. You don't have to post up. Just 7. I don't like when old people are just because you're big, you got to post up. Well, are you over 40, King Freight?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong if you are over 40, King Freight. But
I'm 40. I'm allowed to make fun of old people.
Yeah, Tony's old too, so it's fine. It's also too, Tony. It's hard when you're playing next to Rudy Gobert, because it's like Rudy Gobert
He's the
can't just
same
like,
age. Yeah, I like that.
yeah, he's the same age as you. He can't just like sit out there, Tony. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like he's kind of down there too, but I think it's more like a play inside out type thing. Go get an easy basket before you start pulling those threes, is what I would tell Cat. Like, you don't have to
I don't
start
even think
off
it's
just jacking
that
them up.
simple though. Like I don't mind starting with threes, but I agree with you. Your first point, like if you miss a couple, then get
Get
in
down
there.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
like don't just keep missing. I think we're
keep
all saying
missing.
the same thing in its
Yeah.
own way. Don't just keep shooting bricks. Get in there. But if you start and you make a couple, then you don't need to get in there. Stevers, I'm a man. I'm 40. That's a legendary clip.
Legend quote from oh God, I'm blanking. What's the name of the guy? I'm blanking on his name now.
The coach, the
Mike.
Okie State's coach.
Yeah, was it Mike?
I can't remember. Chat will
I
tell us
can't
in 2
remember.
seconds.
Chat,
Anyway.
yeah, chat will know right away. So I can't remember. That's annoying.
His bad mullet.
Gundy. Yes, Gundy. There you go. All right. I knew it was
terrible mullet.
Something
but
like
he's
that.
A man. He's 40.
Yeah, I'm a man. I'm 40. Yeah. So what do you think of the series, Tony? Do you think that Minnesota has a shot? I mean, we've seen 4 close games. Like it's not like Dallas, even though Dallas has won and they've been the better team in 3 of them. It's not like Dallas has won just like blowing them out of the water. You know what I mean? These have been close games where Dallas has won at the end of games. Really, they've been losing a lot of these games up to a certain point where in the fourth quarter they would make a run and then they would just make the timely shots down the stretch and almost out clutch that Minnesota defense. Like, okay, we'll give you your great defense, and we're gonna hand you the 2 clutchest guys in the NBA maybe, and they're gonna give you buckets. And that's kind of what's happened in this series. Do you think that Minnesota has a shot if it stays as a close game, or do you just see it like going one way?
Yeah, like I said, I've enjoyed this series so much now that my Nuggets are out, because I can just enjoy the basketball. And I did bet Minnesota before the series, and I've bet Dallas a few of the games. So I'm kind of in the middle anyways, kind of rooting both ways. I'm just enjoying the basketball. So I also have a more neutral perspective too, to where I can actually just evaluate it and figure out what I like, and I'm not partial to either side. And I think, like we said before the last game, get one. Now you go back home where you got a clear advantage. All of a sudden you win 2 in a row. There's a lot of pressure on Dallas in game 6 if it gets there. But honestly, the way these teams are built, like Dallas isn't going to buckle under pressure. Luka's not buckling under pressure. I just think we're going to get good games. And it sounds like a cop-out, but whoever makes big shots will win. And it's that simple to me. And could Minnesota do it 4 straight games? Yeah, I think they could do it 4 straight games. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they did it 4 straight games. But I mean, the odds are clearly against them, because you know what? You got to fade 4 straight games of Luka and Kyrie not just going nuts. I mean, one of these games, these guys are going to go nuts, and they're just going to win.
And not just 4 games. You're going to fade 4 close games, Tony, because these games have all been close. So it's like it's tough. You know what I mean? Because if you're telling me that these games are probably going to all be close, at the end of the day, we've seen Luka and Kyrie be clutch and win games for this team at the end. So, man, the odds are really not in your favor.
Way more in close games. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I know it didn't happen last game, but I definitely like Luka rattled a couple of threes too, like the deep one that was down and went out. A couple rattlers, and I mean he's going to make those.
Let's be honest too. Derek Lively being out. I know he's not a big name for people, but everyone who's watching the show, I'm sure just about everyone who's watching the show has watched all the games. They know how important Derek Lively has been to Dallas in this series, especially, but in the playoffs, just overall, he's been awesome, but especially in this series. And Maxi Kleber, I think they rushed him back because they knew Derek Lively wasn't going to play. I don't know if he would have played in that game if that injury didn't happen to Derek Lively, because he clearly didn't want to shoot, Tony. He was like afraid to take wide open jumpers, which we know is not Maxi Kleber when he's healthy. So I think they rushed him back because they knew that was happening. If Derek Lively's a full go, that makes it very different for me with Dallas because it's really hard to blitz Luka with Derek Lively in. It's a lot easier to do that when you got Daniel Gafford and Dwight Powell and company. It's way easier to do stuff
oh
that.
my God.
So Dallas fans know they don't want to see any Dwight Powell minutes. If you're playing Dwight Powell right now in the playoffs, you're not having a good day. I'll just say that. So Derek Lively is a huge deal to this team. We're both assuming he plays too, right? Like he's going to be a go.
I'd be stunned if he didn't play. I think he was fine going to last game, but they were protecting it. It's a neck. I mean, they said it wasn't a concussion, so I trust that it wasn't a concussion. Even though
what's funny is he said he was like dazed and dizzy and stuff.
That's
when
what
he
was
got
so
out.
weird why they said it so clearly that it wasn't a concussion because he said that, but. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I'm just trusting what they said. I mean, maybe it was, but either way, it's still been, when was it? 4 days ago? What was it? Saturday? Sunday?
Sunday. Yeah.
Sunday. So 4 days. I mean, whatever. I'm trusting it. If it was just a neck, I saw him at shoot around. He looked pretty good to me. I'd be stunned if he didn't play. I mean, he looks very good to me. So I'd be stunned if he didn't play.
Yeah,
and then a few people from the chat though, Gobert's a fraud. I mean, you came to the right place, baby, because we think Gobert's a fraud too on this show. Definitely on board for that.
This is definitely a show that is not pro Rudy Gobert.
We're not the
for
Rudy
defensive
fan.
player for defensive player of the year. Some people think he's a superstar, and we on the show think he's the legit opposite of a superstar. Complete bullshit, especially when it comes to the playoffs. And it's for the reasons that Tony said, though, when you were talking about, this isn't 30 years ago playing basketball. That's what makes it tough for someone like Rudy.
He would have been awesome 20 years ago.
Oh, he would have been an actual superstar back then, Tony. He would have been. Now, no friggin' way. Like, it's crazy to me. But the numbers say this, and no, don't give me your fucking numbers. Watch the actual game and tell me how they're exploiting the defensive player of the year, and then tell me how valuable he is at the end of. If you're that important, you're not getting exploited on defense at the very end of a game.
Look at the players, though. Look at all the players. I think it's even simpler. Like, there's not a single player out there that you've seen come to Rudy's defense any of these runs. When it gets to crunch time, they're going at him. No one's defended him. Everyone's made fun of him. All his peers have made fun of him when it matters. They don't do that to Bam Adebayo. They don't do that to Wemby. No. They don't do that to Anthony Davis. The same things don't happen to any of those guys. So you just can't tell me that it's anything. And the numbers say Gobert's awesome. I get it. All his advanced metrics are
I will
awesome.
not stop Bogarts. This is my show. We are not stopping Bogarts. I love
like when you throw a smoke bomb in the building, you just know that Bogart's coming out when you start piling on.
It just exploded with my guy Bogarts, but I can't help it. I can't help it. I will say how I feel all the time, no matter what. And I don't care what anyone tells me. When I watch Rudy Gobert, if you're telling me that he's the greatest defensive player ever, he does this, he does that, he's a superstar, then why the hell is the other team trying to pick on him, especially at the very end of games when they need to score to win the game? That's it. You can't give me, you don't know how to answer that question, because you know what I'm saying is truth. Even if you don't want to believe it, you want to just say, but he does this, he blocks shots, and he stops people from scoring on the other end. Okay, fine, that's great. But why are they trying to exploit him? Why is Luka trying to get him in a screen and roll?
Because not only do I not fully respect him on D, he's a 0 on offense.
0.
So, like, even if he was amazing even if I truly thought he was the best defensive player in the league, if I really believed that, I still wouldn't like him because he's a 0 on offense.
Bro, I have this video on my phone, and it's just the video of when he posted up Luka that one game. I think it was game 3. and he fell as Luka like tapped the ball, went around him and like tapped the ball, and then Luka just turns. I literally will watch it like a couple times a day just to laugh because he just turns at the bench. Yeah, it gets a little tickle. I mean, I got it right here, so it gets a little tickle, and
whenever
it's just,
you need
it makes me laugh.
some movement.
Yeah, whenever I need a little chuckle, I'll watch it. But like, that's a joke. Luka's down there in the paint guarding Rudy Gobert, and Rudy Gobert literally has nothing for him. Like he can't put 1 pound into the floor and go yam on him. And I know Luka's a big guy, but like, dude, you're fucking
definitely a big dude, but still.
You're 7'2" and just absolutely massive. Go friggin' dunk the ball, and he can't do it. He's still doing those damn layups, Tony. Like, you're under the rim. Stop doing a layup.
He got bailed out a few times last game, too, with, like, weak foul calls.
Weak.
Where he shoots his little, like, up and under, little goofy.
I hate when he does. Why doesn't he dunk the ball, Tony? And if you dunk the ball and get fouled, that's fine. But, like, it's not going. He goes up soft all the time, and it drives me nuts. Rudy's goofy as hell. I agree. He just does look goofy as hell. But, yeah, it's the truth. It's the offensive end. And not only that, Tony, he has no skill. He also kills the spacing. Like so many times where Ant is going to drive and he's driving into Rudy because Rudy's standing there and it forces Ant to have to pull up for a mid-ranger. And people don't realize that because they're watching Ant and they're not realizing that Rudy Gobert is literally clogging up the lane that he's trying to drive through. And it's just,
I think it's so funny too, because some of like the sharpest people I follow on Twitter, they like Rudy, to be fair, but like some of their arguments will be like, well, if he played with Luka, he would be awesome on offense. No shit, because he's gonna get in there and he's gonna throw lobs to him, not because he's skilled. It's because Luka is one of the best offensive players ever. Of course, he's gonna be good with Luka. Luka's going to get in the same thing he gets done for Gafford and for Lively. Of course he would be good with Luka. That doesn't mean he's good. It just means that anyone can play with freaking Luka. He's a 7'2" rim runner. Of course he'd be good with Luka. How does that prove anything?
Yeah, he'd be good. Derek Lively is better, though. Like, just for what he fits with Luka. Derek Lively, his exact skill set is what you would want for a big, like with Luka. Literally everything he does.
I don't like Rudy, but like if you just said money doesn't matter, nothing matters, he can play with
Rudy. Well, yeah, then Lively. Rudy would go in there. But I'm saying to you, Derek Lively
Rudy would be better than Lively in that exact
Derek
situation.
Lively can do almost everything Rudy can do right now.
For a cheaper contract.
For cheaper, he's better offensively. The only thing he's not the only thing he's not is as seasoned defensively, but that will come. That will come at some point. Derek Lively is that type of guy. He is a Tyson Chandler type, but like better than Rudy Gobert because he actually has an offensive skill set that he can like help your team. He's not a negative when it comes to offense. He's a plus.
Lively's going to keep improving too.
He's going to absolutely massively improve. Yeah. Obviously, right now you take Rudy, but over time, I would take Derek Lively.
I would take Lively anyway. But I'm just saying, like, if you flip
that's just because you hate Rudy like me.
I mean, I hate, to be fair, I hate all guys that have no offensive skill, and that goes for everyone ever.
But that's because you kill your team. You have to be able to play both ends a little.
I want offense. I'm choosing offense because I just believe defense is all effort. I believe you, just like Kyrie. I believe if these guys can always just work harder, you can't teach offense. You can't teach what Kyrie does. You can't just learn how to do that. You can either do it or you can't. You can teach defense.
Yeah, we've talked about this, but I've talked about this how many times with you, Tony, about effort and defense. Like at a certain point, it's
Maurice. So. We're not doing that. We're conversating, and you can enjoy it, Maurice. Come on, Maurice.
My favorite part about this is Maurice has got to secretly like the talk. He just wants to get I get it. He wants to get to the meat, winners. You know what I mean? He wants the winners.
It's a one-game slate where we're talking about basketball.
Yeah. You know, it'll happen. It's going to happen organically. It'll happen. Bogarts, I don't know who is comparing Rudy and Walker Kessler, But we're not talking about like Walker Kessler right now. We're talking about like Derek Lively, like a real,
And it's still not the same
athlete.
money anyways, though. All the people that
Yeah.
compare it to Walker Kessler, like Rudy's a max player. He's max.
But this is the problem, though. Those people that fight for Rudy think he's like a legit superstar. Like they think they would take him over like almost everyone, even Ant. They're like these guys are.
Believe anyone would. No,
these guys are so brainwashed. They think that
anyone would do that.
They think he's more important than Ant.
Someone stand up and tell me you'd take Rudy over Ant. There's no.
Where is our guy?
Bogart, where you at? Are you taking him over? Are you taking him over Ant?
I know some people that have told me they'll take him over Ant. I won't start naming names on the show because we're live. But
I refuse to believe. Even
I know
some people argued with you. I refuse. Even they would take Gobert over Ant.
Well, maybe some people were just maybe they were tipping.
He a little bruise to them.
Fits in where? Fits in what?
I refuse to believe anyone would. Even Bogart. Bogart, where are you at? You're not taking him over Ant. Or over
Craig. Craig wants me to start getting in trouble here. He said, name names, Jason. I want to name names so bad. I will refrain from the names, but you know who you are.
There's not a single person on earth that's taking Gobert over Ant.
There's some crazies out there.
No way.
I'll just say anyone deserves to be shamed.
There's no way.
I agree, Craig. They do deserve to be shamed, but can they handle the shame?
Like biggest fans, you can't lift him more than like the third best player on any team. Even if you love him, if you think he's friggin' amazing, he's got to be your third best at the absolute most.
Even Cat, and we kill Cat on this show too, but like Cat has to be your number two guy. If Rudy Gobert's their number two guy, even you're in fucking trouble.
You got no chance.
You're in big trouble.
You're not even making the playoffs if he's your number two.
Well, Ant could get them there on especially regular season, Tony. They could get a winning record. They could.
If Gobert was their number two.
I think Luka and him could find a way to get through the regular season.
Oh yeah, now you're bringing the Luka into it.
No, but you said if he's your number two, you're never making the playoffs.
Like the one guy, Luka.
Oh, okay. So you don't think Ant and him, if he was the number two? I
still think Luka's like pretty significantly more developed than Ant, but Ant's 22.
But you're also saying Luka's the top 2 or 3 player.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's.
he's
seeing this whole season and I think it's pretty clearly Jokic.
It's got to be Jokic, Luka.
Yeah,
like it's got to be right now.
Push Luka ahead of Jokic. Granted, I'm partial to this, but I still don't do that. But I think Luka's clearly right there as the number 2 or the 1B.
Yeah, and I won't back off my point. I still think Ant's in the top 5. So I don't care what anyone says.
And your point's going to be even more valid after this playoff run because even if he loses, he's going to be infinitely better from this run. So
the best part though is that people did not think he was going to do this. So it has to help him regardless. The only thing that could hurt him, Tony, is if he actually is afraid of the moment, like it looked like he was in game 1. Afraid to get the ball at the end. At least take the shot.
He's got to. We've seen this from everyone. I've said this all the playoff shows. You have too. It's just you got to learn. This happened to Jordan. It's happened to LeBron. By the way, that clip I sent of LeBron yesterday. Even me as a big LeBron fan, some of those freaking highlights. My God, was he athletic?
Oh God! You stroking a LeBron. You stroking a LeBron. Oh, I'm stunned right now.
I told you this though. I said he might be better now than then, and you laughed at me.
Now I laughed at you so hard.
Now I'm laughing at myself because I forgot how good he was. He was. Oh my God!
I know what you were doing though. You were trying.
Athletic LeBron. I mean.
Yeah. No, I know what you were doing. You were just trying to emphasize how crazy it was that he's 40-something still playing at this high of a level.
I truly believed he was in his own way better than ever. And then I saw the video and I was like, I was wrong. He's not better than he was. He's not better than that.
God, he was good. He was so good.
And I did when I was looking through my old Kyrie tweets, wherever our boy Land is out there. he came at me saying my Nuggets take that I wasn't a fan before this and all that. I found a tweet from 2016, Landa, and I'm waiting for you to call me out again. I got it, and it's going to own you. So the next time you want to come at me about it, I got it for you.
Wait, so he said you're not a Kyrie fan, or you
no?
weren't?
I was always the LeBron, the Cleveland fan, and I was never a Nuggets fan. Was his point until like now, until they won it. Then I jumped on the bandwagon. I got a tweet from 2016 that says my exact feeling, and anyone that's watched our shows should know who I've rooted on, anyways. But I got it ready. I got it in the holster, Landa.
Well, to be fair, you were a Cleveland fan for a while. I've
said it forever. I was a LeBron and Nuggets. It's been that way since they came in. Is those two. And the funny thing is I don't want to share the whole thing I got in the holster, but someone called me out and said, "Are you allowed to root for two teams?" I wrote back and said, "Yes, I root for LeBron and the Nuggets." And this was in 2016.
You have always, since I've known you too, you have always rooted for LeBron. You have always rooted for the Nuggets, just from my vantage point. But
that's what it was. And it is. That's how it's been. It's what I've rooted
KJ pulling on the heartstrings.
And this is another thing.
I'll tell you right now, nothing made me feel better than that series when LeBron lost to the Mavs. Nothing made me feel better.
I'm glad he brought this up because everyone talks about this and they remember LeBron's the only finals he's ever lost as a favorite. Kobe would never do this. You know what? JJ Barea swept Kobe in the playoffs that year. Everyone keeps saying that. The same JJ Barea swept Kobe. He's allowed to sweep Kobe, but he's not allowed to do it to LeBron. That Mavs team was good.
That's a good point, Tony. I've never even thought about that, but that is a really good point that you brought up. How about this? How about just shout out to the man, JJ Barea? Shout out to JJ Barea.
That team was way better than people think. JJ Barea was incredible. Jason Terry was incredible. Dirk never missed a shot ever.
They said he was like 5'8", too. No way that dude was 5'8". Just throwing that out there, but that dude was tiny, JJ Barea.
Dude, this is the point. I am from there. I'm from Denver. My whole life I lived in Denver.
Whole life.
Yep. I don't live in Denver now, but I lived there my whole life.
Yeah, I got confused at first too, because I thought he lived in Kentucky his whole life, and then he told me the whole backstory. I was like, oh, okay, I'm wrong. You live in Kentucky now. He still has family in Denver. Some families in Kentucky.
My mom still lives in Denver. My brothers live in Denver.
Yep, 5'6", JJ Barea.
I met my wife in Denver.
Stud. Absolute stud. Tony, that's one of the most impressive things you'll ever see in sports.
Oh,
JJ Barea, owning LeBron, Kobe. That's got to be up there, right?
Oh, that run they had was. They got the Lakers so mad. Friggin' Bynum. Who was it? Who tackled him? Was it Bynum?
Was it Bynum? Yeah.
When he went down the lane, Barea went down the middle of the lane. They were so frustrated that he literally tackled him. And then they owned LeBron and Wade in the finals. It was an incredible run. I
was never a fan of Cleveland, the Mavs, nothing. But that JJ Barea run, I'll tell you right now, I was glued.
I guarantee you loved them. There's no way
God,
it
was so amazing. It was great. It was just it was one of the greatest things ever. You'll see. If you haven't seen it, you should go back and watch it. It was so good. But little guys just owning all these big goofs out there. I loved it. It was
too.
My favorite.
Barea gives LG wood. He does. He gives LG some wood for sure.
Sorry, hon. What are you gonna do, JJ Barea? My guy. So, all right. Let's see here. JSU, go change your undies. No, we're good. I think we're good. I'm not even gonna check. We're good. We got hoops to talk. We got this 1-game slate that we'll get into here with the showdown. I know people love the basketball talk, Tony, but we do got to get into that.
Except for our one dude. Our one dude was ready to get to the winners.
Is Maurice still in the chat? Maurice, if you're in the chat, say what's up. I want to see if you're still here or not. I'm just intrigued if you hung out through all the crap talk or b-ball talk and got to the winner section. But Tony, what are we doing here with this game? It's a 4.5-point spread. Minnesota's back at home. Now they have lost their last 2 games in this series at home. They lost games to the Nuggets at home. They're 4.5 points. I feel like these spreads should always be like 1 or 2 points, no matter where the game is, who's favored. Because I just think at the end of the day, this is a great matchup. This is a very close matchup. And, okay, Minnesota's favored, but 4.5 to me, I don't know. And I want Minnesota to win. I'm rooting for them, but I would take Dallas with the points 100%. I think this is going to be a very close game.
Yeah, I think it's close. I'm going to play this whole series as close games. I mean, in the past, in the playoffs, that have watched our shows, we've called some blowouts for big scores along the way. If there was ever going to be a blowout spot, this would be it for me for Minnesota. Just going home 3-1, they just won. But I don't see it. I see it as a close game. The only way I would see it as a blowout is if one team just gets super hot. But I don't see that from the Minnesota side. I don't see how they can score enough to blow Dallas out. And I mean, you would have to have a bad game too from Kyrie and Luka. You need too much to happen for a Minnesota blowout. It's like you said at the beginning of the show, if either team was going to blow it out, I would see Dallas blowing them out. But I just don't see that either. Going home to Minnesota, Minnesota plays good D. These guys are going to hit some shots at home. I just don't see it. I see it as a close game, and whoever makes shots down the stretch wins. So I want the points. I want the 4.5. I want the Dallas side. It's like I said, I got money on Minnesota to win the series. I'm going to bet Dallas tonight. I'm going to sit back and watch the game and enjoy it and just watch it from a neutral perspective for the most part. I think it's a good game, though, for sure.
Yeah, Rally's Golf Pro. Man, I was telling Big T about this before we went on here. We were so close to that 50-1 single game parlay prop. We needed Nas. We had everything else hit. We needed Nas over 11.5 points. It didn't get to the winner. So I can't, was it 6 or 7 legs? We had either all 5 or all 6 of the legs hit. And we just needed Nas. Didn't get it done for us, but we were damn close. I'll try and redeem myself here with another one, but man, those are fun though. Those are like fun. You sprinkle a little bit.
I'm back in with the boys tonight. I'm getting in with you guys.
Yeah, I sprinkled my mortgage on it. It's not a big deal, Tony. I put my mortgage on it. A little hundy spot just for the people. So maybe I'll do it again. I'll double down.
We need to find some 3-point. There's going to be some threes tonight. We need to get back on that like you had last game.
Yeah, no, and I really think, and I said this in chat before last game, and I thought it was interesting, Tony, and I wanted to talk to you about it. So Minnesota did a little switch up. Ant played a little more on Luka to start the game than McDaniels. McDaniels was more on Kyrie. They played that way a lot throughout that game, and I don't think that part mattered, but I do think that as the game went on, they started to blitz him a little bit more, Luka, as the game went on, but they tried to play him straight up. It didn't really work out early. And I did think like the blitzes later were the better way to go. And it was putting PJ Washington in like wide open 3 scenarios. And he made a couple late, but he was missing a ton early. And he was at one point, he was like terrified to shoot him because he was missing so many. It put Maxi Kleber in spots where he was catching wide open threes. Derek Jones hit a couple early. And I just think this series, Minnesota is going to do that again. I think that early when their guys are fresh, they're going to try and play these guys straight up. And what I mean by that is Luka and Kyrie straight up with Ant and McDaniels. But I think as the game goes on, Tony, I think they're going to more try and get the ball out of their hands and put those other guys for Dallas in wide open 3 scenarios where you catch, there's no one in front of you. There might be someone coming to close out, but you got to look if you want to take that look or not. But it's better than Luka or Kyrie taking those or making those looks, even with someone in their face. So I think that's something that's going to stick. I don't know if it's going to happen early in the game, but I do think later in the game, you're going to see more of that. So I do like the 3-point looks again for Dallas, especially though, because I think it's just the way Minnesota has to play them as the game goes on. Maybe not early, but as that game, ticks on and goes later.
Yeah, as the series gets going, it's very clear when you get later into series what teams need to do. If Minnesota plays that drop coverage, they're going to get crushed. I mean, that's Luka's wheelhouse. That's his change of undies. When he sees the drop coverage, it's like JSU watching JJ Barea highlights. I mean, it is too freaking easy. But the thing is, like you said, they're not going to blitz the whole game, or they're going to get a rhythm. So you're going to see a little drop in the first half, but when it matters, they're going to blitz him for sure, and they're going to blitz Kyrie. And everything you said is perfect, which means wide open threes. Comes down to if these guys can make them. Can Derek Jones make them? Can PJ Washington make them? PJ Washington shot terrible this series. Jaden Hardy was pretty good last game. Can Josh Green make them? Can these guys make these open shots is what a lot of it will come down to. And I think they will make them one of these next 3 games. I don't know if it's going to be on the road, but like in the single game parlays and stuff, like you're going to put up for the members to run pure. I love it. I mean, I love taking my chances that they just make shots. And that goes for Minnesota too, for that matter. McDaniels, I don't think they'll blitz as much just because they haven't had to. Let's be honest. I mean, Denver had to blitz Ant with the way they were guarding. They're just doing a better job showing against Ant without blitzing. So I don't think they will necessarily have to, but the Dallas side will for sure. So I like the threes more from the Dallas guys, but I still like McDaniels and these different guys to hit some threes,
because you're going to get good odds for someone like McDaniels. You know what I mean? I haven't even looked at what his odds are, but I assume they're decent. I mean, I think for him to hit 2 threes was plus money last game. We hit that pretty early too, if I remember correctly, or Derek Jones was early, one of the two. But I mean, there's certain players that you got to know teams are just going to be okay with, Tony, the other team saying like, we'll let you beat us, right? McDaniels is one of them on Minnesota. I think Derek Jones is definitely one of them on Dallas. PJ Washington, another guy that Minnesota just kind of has to allow to say, hey, we'll let you beat us from 3. If you're going to hit him, hit him. And he hasn't been able to really hit him. Because let's be honest, if PJ Washington hit like 5 or 6 threes in one of these games, man, the games would have ended a lot differently. He's made 2, 0, 2, and 2 in the 4 games he's taken 8, 4, 6, and 9 threes. And I think 8 and 9 are more what he should be taking based off of the looks he's getting. A lot of times what's happening is, Tony, is he'll miss a couple early and he'll start pump faking and driving to the hole, which is not his game, to be honest with you. But when you start missing, we've talked about this before, you try and go get an easy bucket, and then you come back to shooting after you try and get an easy bucket, or you go to the free throw line and you see the ball go in a little bit. But he's going to get those looks again. And we got to capitalize on that for the betting stuff. That's where you have the edge, get him over 2.5 threes. Hopefully he finally, makes more than 2, and gets you over the hump.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And one of the interesting things from tonight, though, talking fantasy, we've talked a lot about the actual game and stuff, but the fantasy side, these rotations are interesting with Lively back, Kleba in there. They've played Exum a little bit. So for Dallas's side, I mean, you're talking 2, 4, 6. I mean, you're talking 10 guys if you count Exum. I do think there's a very good chance Kleba DNPs tonight. And people can do whatever they want, but look at the prices. So you got Josh Green, who's a lock to play at 2,800. Hardy, who's played good, a lock to play at 2,400. And then you got Kleba and Exum, who Exum's probably play a little just because he's played the playoffs the whole way. But I wouldn't be shocked if Kleba doesn't play, who's going to get ownership. For me, I just can't go there with Lively back, assuming Lively's in. I mean, we're banking on him being he looked good in the warm-up video that was posted and stuff. And then on the Minnesota side, I think the rotation is way more locked in with 8 guys. I mean, you have these 8. They're not going to go deeper, and Nah hasn't played good. And last game, they didn't play Nas as much either down the stretch. So I feel like Minnesota's at home. Really 6 guys. I mean, yeah, if you get foul trouble from Rudy or Cat, Nas will be more in the picture. but I think they're playing their guys. And Kyle Anderson's been, we hate him too. And he shoots like I heard the best analogy the other day that it's like 2-factor authentication. Like when you sign into an app, that's his jump shot. I thought that was hilarious. But again, we make fun
That's
of him.
so good.
He's played good this series. So he's going to
Yeah.
play for sure. He's outplayed now the whole series. His price is finally a little higher, but their rotation is way more condensed. So I think you want to go more Minnesota tonight than Dallas, just in my opinion. And the prices kind of dictate it more too, where Luka is 14K and Ant's only 11K. So, or 11.8, but 2,200 cheaper. I think Minnesota's definitely the better route to go. Some of these projections too, I don't really get. So, I mean, we can just start by going down the list and see what we get.
Yeah.
But
And I agree with your take on Maxi Kleber, by the way. I didn't like him at all. Like I said, I gave the take that I think they brought him back too soon. He was clearly hurt, didn't want to shoot. And if Tony, if he doesn't want to shoot out there, then what good is he? Like if he's like, yeah, it still feels uncomfortable shooting and stuff like that, then seriously, what good is he out there if you don't need him?
You don't even need his shooting anyways, though, because they have all guys that can stretch a little bit, and you have your rim runner with Lively or Gafford.
But I'm saying, though, unless you think he's going to play the 4, I don't see minutes. I don't
want him at the freaking 4, but yeah, I agree with that.
I don't see minutes, though, for him, unless he's taking minutes away from PJ, Derek Jones, or Derek Lively or Daniel Gafford. Which against Minnesota, I don't think they're going to not split the center minutes unless he steals Gafford's minutes. So,
and I just see no way, because Gafford and Lively protect the rim too. I just don't. For me personally, he's going out all the way out of the player pool, all the way out, because we got good values anyways. And I know for a fact Green and Hardy are playing, so I'm just gonna.
And Kyle Anderson has been playing. The reason why Nas hasn't been getting the run is because Kyle Anderson. He's been pretty much playing for everybody. Like he's been playing, a little bit for when a couple guys go out, but he's been getting the minutes because they like him out there with those guys, probably because they like his length for defense. And he's been good enough offensively to stay in the game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's guarded Luka better than anybody, as weird as that sounds. You just never know matchups. I mean, Christian Brown guarded Ant better than anyone, which is weird. Kyle Anderson guards Luka better than anyone, which is also weird. It's just matchups. It's basketball. It's just, you never know where the matchup's going to fall, but that's how it's fallen. Kyle freaking Anderson's guarded Luka better than anyone on their team. I would have never thought that would happen. So it is what it is.
It's funny. Chris Finch has a quote. He says, Anthony Edwards as the primary defender on Luka Doncic does a better job getting over all these illegal screens they get set for Luka. So he's throwing a little jab in there.
I love that coach too. I think I know he's taking a lot of heat too, which is that people's favorite thing to do. Whenever things go bad, let's just blame the coach. Carlisle should get fired. This guy should do this. Finch sucks. This coach is terrible. Does it always have to be the coach's fault always?
It's easier to blame the coach, right? They don't want to blame the players. They don't want to say that it was someone specific's fault on the player's side. So it's just easier to blame the coach. The coach didn't set them up right to win, or he didn't play the right rotation, or played too many guys, or not enough guys, or these guys were tired and they need to play more.
Does anyone do a good job coaching except the team that wins the title? Is it like the players now? If you don't win the title, you had a bad year. Is it the same for coaches?
I mean, I thought that Mark Daigneault did a great job coaching throughout the year.
He was even getting made fun of some stuff in the playoffs, though.
It's like, crazy.
What do we want? Like, what? I mean, why does every coach? Why does it always have to be the ref's fault? Whenever we lose, it's the ref and the coach. It's never just the players miss shots or turn the ball over in the clutch. Or it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts in friggin' kids basketball, high school basketball, college.
I'll tell you right now, Minnesota fans, if you are looking to blame the coach, if your team loses this series, stop. Because it is not the coach's fault that you lost those first 3 games. It was on the players. It was on Anthony Edwards. It was on Cat missing every single shot he took for 3 games. Rudy getting exposed. Defense. It was on everybody. It was on the players, 100%. And I think Anthony Edwards should get the most blame because he's the superstar. And you always should blame the superstar the most. But Cat should get the second most blame because he's the second best guy. And it just goes on down the list. But it was the players' fault. It is not the damn coach's fault. Those were close games that their players just did not execute at the end, and Dallas's players did, and that's why they lost. It's as simple as that. It's
Kyrie
literally as
sucked
simple
last
as that.
game. We've given Kyrie all the credit. He sucked last game. He was terrible. Like it's sometimes it's that simple. Like Cat played good, Kyrie sucked. It's simpler than we want to make it. We want to make it. Let's go through these projections.
Bogard says chat hates coaches and defense. Where you say that?
I mean,
well, Big T hates defense too, Bogards, just to be fair. So
the funny part about it though is like all the sharpest people like overvalue defense so much and like undervalue offense, and the fans overvalue offense, and it's the opposite. But the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
It's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, we definitely overblow it a little bit.
I know that's just how I am, but I know that I'm not entirely right about it. I just overvalue offense. I like offense better. I like Kyrie better than I like Mike Conley, and you laugh at that take right now, but back in the day, like Conley and Isaiah Thomas and Damian Lillard and Kyrie were all in one like bucket of players, and now it doesn't look as obvious these days. But
well, I think skill wise, Mike Conley was never in Kyrie's bucket, but I do think people tried to put him in the bucket.
In those arguments on Twitter, there was tons of people that said they'd rather have Conley than Kyrie for sure.
Well, maybe that, but that's not an argument of skill, right, Tony? Because if it was just an argument of
Kyrie's skill,
because if it was just an argument of skill, we've talked about this all the time. Yeah. Kyrie Irving might be the greatest, most skilled player, literally of all time, offensively, like just offensive skill. He might be the greatest offensively skilled player I've ever witnessed play in a game of basketball. Imagine if he was like the size of Ant Edwards with that skill. Like imagine that, seriously. Like Kyrie Irving at like with Ant Edwards like size and stature, how great he would be.
David, I don't even know what this means. Conley's still solid. When did we say Conley wasn't solid?
Yeah, he was just taking it back to years ago when people would put him in a bucket with Kyrie Irving. It's not shitting on
Conley's been awesome in this series, but he's not as good as Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I mean, he's a perfect vet. Like
he's great. He's had a great career. He's been awesome. He's been awesome in this playoffs. Like we're not saying
he was great last game. That's another reason why they won was Mike Conley last game. Mike Conley was awesome for that team.
And he's another reason they beat Denver. Like he's been awesome. I don't know what we said that we didn't say it. I mean, we didn't say anything that he wasn't. But.
Yeah, no, I think there was a little confusion going on with what you said earlier. But
so projections, because we got to we're going to be on here literally until tip if we don't start doing some projections. But so Anthony Edwards, like right out of the gate, he's projected 49 saver. Here, let me refresh to make sure, see if anything updated. But 49 and 50. And this is what I don't get about projections. So he's cracked 50, 51, 52, 54 in three of the four games. He still hasn't had a game where he's made shots. He's at home. I literally don't understand how his projection isn't like 55 or something. I don't get it. So like I'm bringing him up to 55. I know you don't have a problem with that because you love him.
I've been projecting him at like 54 every game this series.
I mean, eventually he's going to make a couple shots. And so we said what happens when guys make shots. What happens if he just makes shots one game? That will be their blowout maybe if he just makes a ton of shots. So he's pretty easy to project.
Though, with these teams is like Ant would still need help from like Cat or Conley, or even if Ant like went nuclear, I still think he needs that one other guy. Where absolutely. I feel like Luka or Kyrie, like if one of them just went nuke with like PJ Washington, it's just straight over. Like straight over, you know what I mean? Like if PJ Washington hit like 8 threes and Kyrie dropped 40, like Minnesota's probably fucked. You know what I mean?
So yeah, but just for projections, because we keep going back to the game.
Yep.
It's what me and you do. That's why we do 4-hour freaking shows over one game. But
Can't help
just
it.
projections. We got to stay in our lane here. Cat. So I just talked about Ant. Now I'll go to Cat, who's projected for 38, both sites. Us and Saber. You look at his I mean, the dude has gone for 32 basically all 4 games. He's a foul trouble risk. He played pretty good last game to get his 32, even though he was in foul trouble again. But he's always going to be in foul trouble. He's Cat. I don't understand how a guy that goes for 32 every game, even when he plays decent and has foul risk, is projected for 38. I don't get it. Like, why?
I don't know why, but I'm gonna put him in the middle of those two numbers.
Yeah, like I was
Just
literally going to put him at like 33.
I got him at 34. I think that's fair.
I'll
33,
even give him an
34.
extra point for you. 34.
And that brings me to like what do you think of Kyrie at like now?
You're pulling a freaking Wiley on me where you just totally shift. We're going down the list here.
Wait, we're going down the list of I thought like
got it on the screen. We're going down the Minnesota guys. Don't just
we're just doing Minnesota. Okay, I thought we were doing the whole. I thought we were doing like everyone together.
Well, we do that second. We're going team by team, and then we'll circle back.
Okay, fine. So then Rudy, I can't have him above Cat. Like I just can't do that.
And honestly, he's been pretty. I mean, he played 38 minutes in 3 of the 4 games. The other game, he was in foul trouble, had 5 fouls. He sucked in that game. So let's just get rid of that game. He had 19. We'll totally throw out that game. He's had 5 fouls in the last 3 games. He went for 39, 28, 29. I totally agree with you. We're the Rudy haters. We're proud of it. We're not scared to admit it. I mean, I'm going to give him 33, and I even think that might be slightly high, but
I'm giving him 30. I'm giving him legit 30.
I mean, I hate Rudy, so I'll go lower with you. I know I don't want Rudy, so I'm fine going whatever. But the only thing is, I will say, so we're lower on Cat and Rudy, and we already said we didn't love Nas. I don't think you can be low on all 3 of them is the only.
Well, then I'll take Cat. I'll take Cat because at least at home, maybe he hits a bunch of shots and maybe he doesn't foul. Like, I'll take my risk though with Cat.
How can we like project though? Just straight projections. Like we can't go up and give Cat like 40.
I really don't think I'm going to get that much of any of this range, though, to be honest with you, because I'm going to get more Conley when we get to him. I'm going to get more Luka and Ant. Like, dude, you're not going to land in this range very much.
So Conley, for example, just talking numbers, because Rudy and Cat have been terrible. Rudy and Cat have been terrible with fouls and projections and everything. So Conley has been the flip side, though. Like, he's been really good. 36, 26, 35 the last 3 games. He's been really solid. He even got double-digit shots, which is a lot for him in 2 of the 3 games. 7 threes and 5 threes, 4 threes. He shot a bunch of threes all 4 games.
Well,
so I think
that's due too to him playing off ball a little bit more, Tony, with Ant on the ball a little bit more and the attention kind of going. I think it's leaving him open for more like looks from the outside.
Yep. I mean, I like Conley more than, especially when you factor price. I like Conley definitely more than these. So let's put him in the middle of Rudy and Cat. Let's put him at like 32 for now.
Okay.
Just for now. I mean, I'm good with that. Nas.
I got him at 31, but
anywhere in the middle. We're going to circle back anyways once we bring it all together. So the next one, Nas, who is obviously off the bench, pretty foul dependent for the other 2. Like, he only played 20 minutes last game, 32 and 29 the 2 before that. He's been pretty consistent when he gets the minutes. I mean, 28, 34, 21, and then only 15. My worry for him is how they just put him on the bench last game. Even with foul trouble for Cat and Rudy, he was still buried on the bench a little bit, which that is very worrisome to me because as the series goes and their season was on the line, when push comes to shove, they just put him on the bench. So for him, I honestly just can't go over tonight just because of that. I agree with you totally. I can't play Rudy. I don't think I can play Nas tonight just with that. So my guy would have to be Cat. So I'm not going to bump him yet, but just because I want to see the prices of the Dallas guys with it. But for Nas, I mean, I want to be under on Nas, so I'm going to take him down to 20.
I
I
think
just
this is
don't.
the problem with Nas. I think you need one of Jaden McDaniels and Kyle Anderson plus one of Rudy or Cat to be like either in foul trouble or something, because they have shown that they are willing to go Kyle Anderson 4 lineups with Rudy or Cat over Nas if one of the bigs is in foul trouble. So that's the thing with Nas, because they want Conley in there. They obviously ain't. McDaniels for sure for his defense. And then it's Kyle Anderson. And if Kyle Anderson is going to go in for one of those bigs at the end of games, Tony, that is going to directly hurt Nas's minutes. It's going to take Nas from, maybe playing 23 minutes to only playing 19 or something like that, which is a decent hit for someone like Nas.
And he's been bad on D, like the chat says. I mean, we're always going to go with our takes, like always.
He's
Sometimes
just
we're right.
lazy on D. I don't even think he's bad on D. I think he's lazy on fucking defense, because I've seen him play good defense.
Too. He's got
he does have slow feet, but I've seen him even guard people on the perimeter and play decent defense. I think with him, it's more just he's lazy. He wants to play offensively. He wants to score. He's literally thinking about the offensive end probably when he's on defense, Tony. I think it's as simple as that with someone like Nas. But I agree with your take totally. And Nah and Kyle Anderson, because we'll take it to the cheap guys now.
McDaniels.
We got McDaniel. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're projecting him for, but I can't go like higher than 20. For someone like him,
he just doesn't shoot enough. Like I said, I don't think they blitz Ant as much, which means Ant's going to get a bunch of shots. Cat's going to obviously get shots. Conley's going to get open shots. I just don't. I mean, he hasn't shot double digits any of the games. He's honestly shot pretty good the last 2 games: 3 for 4, 2 for 4, 6 of 8, 4 of 8. I mean, he just doesn't really get you anything else either. He's getting hardly any rebounds the last couple games. I do think I like him. So all that's important really is the range. And I definitely like him more than Nas because of minutes. I mean, he's going to be in there for a lot of minutes. And he's in that same bucket as like Derek Jones, where I don't love it, but you get the minutes. And he is going to get open shots if he makes them. And maybe he gets a couple blocks tonight. Maybe he gets some rebounds.
And to be fair, I think he has more upside than Derek Jones at home. Even though
he got 37 in game 1. I mean, he was awesome in that game, though. Well,
maybe we leave him at 21, Tony, or 20.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere in there. We'll bring it back together with the Dallas. For right now, let's just leave him at 22. So Kyle Anderson and Nah. I mean, Kyle Anderson has been infinitely better than Nah. His fantasy numbers hasn't been great, but I honestly think he's one of the easier people to project. He's played 17 minutes, all 4 of the 17 or more minutes, all 4 of the games, 17 or more fantasy. So this is another projection I don't get. And I think this is why we've always been good in the playoffs. He's gone for 17 or more all 4 games. Now he's back at home. His minutes, if anything, are going to be higher than ever tonight because they trust him. And his projection's under that. Like I don't get it. So for me, I mean, I'm taking him up closer to the Nas range at like 19. I really trust his role in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put him at 17, I think.
It probably won't matter, honestly.
I'm going to get a shitload of them at 17, so I don't think it matters too much. And I think he's a way better player. Nah is the guy they've been phasing out. And it's because as good as Nah is defensively, his offense has just been non-existent. And I know he hit a couple threes last game, but literally just looking at it, I think they've already made the decision almost in their mind, Tony. Conley, Kyle Anderson, McDaniels, when push comes to shove, they want those guys in, at least 2 of those guys in with Ant, Rudy, Cat. Like that's what they're going with. So Nas like on the back end of the top 6, where in other series, Nah was that first guy. He was the Kyle Anderson. I think Kyle Anderson in this series has almost shoved him to the side and said, "Nope, now you're 7 or 8 on the bench," and I went from 8 to number 1 off the bench. So it's just funny how series. You always say it like the styles make matchups, series, all that stuff. And for this series, Kyle Anderson, and shout out that Draymond Green actually said it before the series even started. He thought Draymond thought Kyle Anderson was going to be a big key in the series. And
I'll give
right.
Draymond credit for the last game too, because I was pretty mad. We're fans of Draymond. I was pretty disappointed, and he hates Rudy too. But when you're on those shows, you can't just totally trash a guy like that. You gotta keep a little neutral. But then
why is he on those shows though?
I know.
Is what I want to know. Why?
I wanted to give him credit though, because after last game, he did give Rudy a little credit for playing good and gave credit. And I like that, because he's got to be, when you're in that role, you got to be more neutral. You can't just be mad at Rudy for winning Defensive Player of the Year.
There is no way in hell, Tony, that someone didn't pull him aside, whether it was someone in his camp or Charles Barkley or Shaq. No way someone didn't pull him to the side and just say, bro, you can't, this isn't your podcast.
Even if you don't believe it, just say it.
Yeah. This is national TV. This is inside the NBA. We're live.
It's not us on our YouTube with 1,000 people watching. You're on TNT. You can't just trash him for like literally everything.
You can't just say he sucks and that's it, right? You can't just feel like he sucks or whatever he said. Like he's trash.
He did circle back. That's why I wanted to say that, because he was much better. And I agree with you. Someone had to tell him. It had to be Shaq.
I just don't know why. Why do you? The show is perfect. Why would you even take a chance of changing it, ruining it? Like
either. The only thing I can think is they're like setting it up for when Kenny leaves, like the chat was talking about it, where they're going to go to a new chance. So maybe he like fills in and he's the new guy to take it to the next level or whatever.
It still won't be the same.
It's never going to. That's the sad part, is it's going to be gone forever after one more year. And it's never going to be the same, because Kenny is getting old for one. He was going to retire anyways, but with the new thing, I don't know how they're going to fix it, but we'll see.
I mean, hopefully they don't try and mess with it too much, but it's never going to be the same again. I mean, Big T, stop getting us off damn track and get us back on track and on to the next side. By the way, people, if you want to check out Rump Your Sports, RPS 15 is the promo code right now. You get 15% off your first monthly or weekly payment, and you can come and harass Big T in the chat. I won't say for free, because you obviously pay to come in the Discord, but it is pretty fun, and you can add him whenever you want. You can send him DMs, annoy the shit out of him, whatever you want to do.
Tell me when my Nuggets get knocked out, make fun of him.
Make fun of him. That's worth the price already, and you get 15% off with RPS 15. That's the promo code right now.
Yep. Let's look at Dallas. So Luka, starting out with Luka, all the way up to 14K. He's still actually, it's surprising to me because he's been good. He hasn't hit a 70 banger yet, but last game, he was terrible. 7 for 21 shooting. I shouldn't say terrible. That was a bad way to put it. He shot terrible. He didn't play terrible. Plenty of people try that.
I love
distracted. Stop.
I love when you say terrible. I love when you say that was terrible. Yeah. Big T says terrible. So good. It's almost like when Chuck says terrible, but it's a little different, but it's great.
Back to Dallas. Anyway, stop distracting me. He's played 41 minutes all 4 games, gone for 60 plus all 4 games. Hasn't really shot incredible. Like last game, 7 for 21. He's just rebounding a ton, obviously playmaking. He's going to get another triple-double tonight because they're going to blitz him. 61 is too low. I got to go at least like 65 for him. Like, I can't go less. If anything, he's going to play more. 41 minutes. He'll probably play the exact same because he played 41 all 4. But that's a lot of minutes. I just have to give him like 65. What do you got him for?
Luka, I got him right now. He's like 63, I think. 64. Yeah. I mean, I agree with your projection. I got him at 63. I still think he's going to hit a shitload. I mean, especially with what we have the next tier of guys at, Tony. He's going to hit regardless of if you got him at 65.
And I'll be honest, I want Luka and Ant, obviously. It doesn't mean they have to be in the captain, but I need those two. I just, whatever that means to my roster, I need those two. And it makes it a little easier, which is why I've liked this series. I just think Kyrie and Cat, and now I'm bringing it to the overall instead of just Dallas. I think these prices are just tougher. Where Kyrie at 9,800, I mean, he's projected 37 for Saber, 41 from us. I don't see how you can project Kyrie more than like 40, just because I think the ball's in Luka's hand more. So I do like Kyrie definitely more than Cat though, and Gobert, which we'll bring it back in a second. So just for now, let's
And
just
to be
leave
fair,
it.
he's went over 40 twice in this series already. So
Yeah.
just throwing that out there, to be fair.
All that's going to matter, and we'll bring it back. All that's going to matter is the ranges, like we always talk about with the Saber sim. As long as he's more than Cat and those guys, we'll be good. But let's go to the key guys, because this next range is where the slate's going to be won. What do we project these guys is very hard for me, at least, because I think their ranges of outcomes are like enormous. I think PJ Washington could get 18 tonight or 48. Like, I think that's how wide his range is. And I'm half joking about that, but I'm not full joking, because if he makes a lot of shots, he could literally get you like 48 fantasy points. If he misses shots, he could literally get you 18. So I think he might be the hardest guy to project.
He was set up so perfectly last game to have a big game. I mean, so perfectly. He went 3 for 13 from the field. He scored 21 fantasy points going 3 for 13 from the field. I do think with Derek Lively back, it hurts maybe a little bit, but
his minutes have been consistent, like Luka, though, right at 40.
40, yeah, because they want him out there. They even though he's missing shots, Tony, they know that he's their best hope in that position. They don't have anyone else. Maxi's not ready. He's the guy. They're rolling with him, and defensively, he gives them something that I don't think they can find any. So like, both sides of the ball, he is a plus. Even when he's missing shots, he's their best chance in those spots. So, yeah, I'm not actually messing with this project. I see 26 right now.
I'm definitely going closer to ours than RPA or than Saber. Like, he's just 40 minutes. I've done it all playoffs, but I'm just taking minutes more than other things. We'll bring it back anyway.
Are you going closer to 30? Where are you going? Closer to 30?
Just 29 for right now. But once we get to the price, because the last slate, the whole slate came down to PJ Washington or Conley, Green or Hardy. And the winner was obviously Conley and Hardy, and I had Josh Green and PJ. But I honestly think it was like a coin flip. It was just Conley made shots, PJ didn't. Hardy made shots, Josh Green didn't. It was that simple, but it was what it came down to. With Lively back, I think these two, again, is more of a coin flip, and I don't really know what we should project them at. I know the projections like Gafford. I still like Lively more than Gafford, especially with the uncertainty around him.
Yeah.
But as far as projections, though, I mean, what do we want to give these guys? I want to give Lively like 24 or something.
Yeah, so I'm going to put Lively ahead of Gafford. So I'm good with your 24.
Just for right now, we can even
I think Gafford at anywhere between 21 and 22 is fair. And yeah, I got PJ at 27, I think, or around there. But yeah, I mean, that's how I have that range. I think Derek Lively is their best chance.
The biggest issue with Derek Lively is going to be that price. He's just too expensive
but Gafford's pretty expensive too.
I think they're both like somewhat bad of plays just because of that. And their minutes are still tied to each other where they just can't, like, they're going to play somewhere in that middle.
Yeah, like Derek Lively, his best outcome, Tony, is he plays like 30 minutes.
I don't even think he can get to 30, but I agree.
He has
28 and 22 or something, I think would be like even the most I could give him where they're tied together though, and these prices are high.
In the last game in OKC, he got 30 minutes at home. In Minnesota series so far, he's got 27, 27, and I think he was on his way to another 27 or 28 if he doesn't get hurt, because he was smashing in those first 9 minutes, Tony. I don't know if you remember before he got hit in the back of the head, but he was crushing. Like, he was absolutely dominating. and then just got
You
hurt.
got to put a little on the neck too, even if we don't think it's a big. Either
Well,
way,
what do you think? What do you think he plays? Like 20? Do you think it's like an even split almost?
Honestly, obviously they're not going to play 24-24, but as far as just straight projections and just guessing, I just think you kind of rule them the same, and I put Lively ahead of him, but I honestly think they're both overpriced. I don't want a ton of either one. I'd rather have. I know they're not the same as PJ. I would play PJ a million times out of a million over those two, though, just because of those minutes and the open shots.
Well, then what I would say is put them pretty close. Even if you put Lively ahead, put them pretty close, like maybe a point difference or something like that.
We'll see what the range is too when we put it together. But so Derek Jones is pretty locked in too to 33, 34 minutes. Solid roll. Just doesn't do much. It just doesn't. I mean, so like I'm good with the projection at like 19 or something. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't like it, but if he's my last guy or something, I'm okay with it. He could always do something. And then
it's the security, it's the minutes.
It doesn't seem like a key thing, but Josh Green and Hardy is so important because you need a cheap guy to get these guys. And Josh Green has played solid minutes. I mean, 13, 21, 25, 17. It honestly just comes down to how he's playing out there. Last game, Hardy was better. Hardy's just good. I mean, we've always liked Hardy. He still only played 12 minutes last game, though. He was 5 for 8, though, hit 3 threes. He had 13 points in 12 minutes. So obviously that's an outlier, but you don't need what he did last game. I mean, these guys are almost mid-price. So again, talking about ranges, it's just a matter of who you put ahead. I still got Josh Green ahead of Hardy, but how do you rank the two of them?
Yeah, it's funny. Like Jaden Hardy in the last 5 games, double digit in 4 of 5. Josh Green, 2 of 5.
But the minutes are a lot more too.
The minutes are what is different. Like that's the difference is in the minutes. And the reason why the minutes are obviously different is because Jaden Hardy's minutes are off of Luka and Kyrie, right? He pretty much plays every minute that one of them's off the floor, but he can't really play that many more minutes.
He's never going to be on with both of them, is your point.
The only way would be if it was like a massive blowout and he got like,
which we're not going to win if it's that anyways, more than likely.
Correct. So I do think that you still have to put Josh Green just from a minute standpoint. I think he's got like the upside for more minutes, and who knows, maybe on the road, maybe Jaden Hardy doesn't hit as many shots.
I mean, as the later the series goes, the more minutes. I know Luka and Kyrie already play a ton, but they're still going to get boosted a little bit as the series goes. Like, if it really gets pushed to shove, I mean, Jaden Hardy could play like 7 minutes tonight. I don't think that happens with Josh Green. So, again, it's not going to matter that much because it's only how you rank them. And the flip side, though, too, is last time it was, I think JBC won like 37 grand and instead of a small chop, by flipping them because the projection. So just by getting a little different, you can do that. Okay, let's bring the ranges together now, both teams. So Luka's obviously in a price by himself. We kind of both agree mid-60s. Ant is in a price range by himself too. I mean, we kind of like the mid-50s. So those are easy. Then when we get down further, you got Kyrie and Cat, which I want to be under on both of these guys, but if we put like, what do you think a good projection for Kyrie is? 40?
And we just got, I don't mean to interrupt. We just got news. Derek Lively is officially available to play tonight. So that's official. Just came across like just now. So what was the question, Tony? How do I rank who?
I don't think it's going to matter a ton for our teams just because we want Ant and Luka, which isn't going to give us much Kyrie and Cat. And honestly, I want Luka and Ant, and I don't really want Kyrie and Cat just with the way the numbers set up.
Mean kind of either, but if I like,
I kind of want to go under on these guys though, just straight projections because I want to force the optimizer. I just want to go like lower, like 35 for Kyrie and 34 for Cat, like where it's. I'm just not. I'm going to force it to give me Ant and Luka by doing this.
Well, that's what I got. Kyrie at 36 and Cat at 34. Let's see. I'm going to run it right now and see what I get.
So
with these guys,
it won't matter much anyways because they're expensive at those prices. Right. But the next range is where the slate is going to be won. So you got Mike Conley, 6,600, Rudy 7,600, PJ 7K, Lively, McDaniels, Gafford. This whole range is pretty closely priced. Now, where do we rank it? I mean, do you put Conley and PJ ahead of Rudy straight up?
I want to put Conley there. I don't know about PJ. I don't. PJ, you're higher
PJ's
on.
the one I'm the highest on for sure because I just
You're
think
definitely higher on him. I think that projection wise, I probably won't put him straight up ahead of Rudy.
The
I got
problem
them
is they're
pretty
like the same
close.
price though, so you're going to get Rudy over him. You'd rather have Rudy than PJ if it came down to it. They're the same price.
I don't know. Right now I got PJ at 28, which is high in my opinion. I got Rudy at 30. And I'm going to bet that just with that 600 difference, because I'm going to get a ton of Luka and Anthony Edwards, that 600 is going to mean a lot on a lot of teams.
No
So
way.
I'm going to actually bet that I get more PJ than Rudy.
No way.
And I'm going to run it right now. You don't think so though?
No. They're the same price, and he's got 2 less points. There's no way.
Let's see. Do you have I got a question. Do you have Nah ahead of Josh Green and Jaden Hardy or below them?
Man, right now, just according to the numbers we did, I have Nah higher, but I do not want Nah higher. I think Nah could get even less minutes tonight.
Because you're going to have to change that if you're.
I'm going to change it.
You're
getting me out of my ranges again now.
Well, I'm just saying, like we got
to decide on. I got to put PJ. I got to go PJ. Third, I think PJ is going to have a big game, so I'm going higher on PJ. You can disagree. I'm going PJ.
I'm still higher than the projection though. Like the projection's at 26 right now. Like
yeah, which you're not going to get hardly any when you go down in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I like PJ and Conley, so that's kind of, and it was the decision that was the slate the other night, but
yep,
I think it's a decision again. I just think PJ is going to have a big game. He plays the minutes. I like the minutes. So this range, I'm going PJ, Conley, Rudy. I know I don't want Rudy, so I'm good with 33, 32, 31. McLongrod wants to fade PJ. Yeah, if you think he keeps missing shots, then definitely fade him. 100%. I don't think you need these guys in this price range, though. Like, you don't have to do it. So there's that. Let's move down to the next range. So now another key range, but both centers, Gafford, Lively, McDaniels, Nas. I'm actually going to probably be different than you because I think I'm going McDaniels over these three just because the minutes. Over Lively, Gafford, Nas.
Interesting. So you're going to put him. I mean, I don't hate that. So
I'm going to
I can do that.
Say,
I kind of like, honestly, the more I think about the problem with all these guys, Tony, is I think they're all just a little bit overpriced.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you're going to have to play some of them. That's why the numbers are important.
Exactly. You're going to have to play some of them. So who do I like the most? It would probably be Lively and McDaniels. So I don't hate putting them ahead of Gafford, I guess. And I don't hate putting them ahead of Nas if we throw Nas in that range.
I like McDaniels like significantly more, I think, than these guys. I think there's way more risk in these three. And I just think McDaniels is just going to play and he's going to get open looks.
But also you like PJ, which in turn, you're not going to like both Gafford and Lively if you like PJ, I feel like.
Correct.
Just naturally.
Correct.
So
me personally, I mean, I'm going to go way up on McDaniels. I like McDaniels. I like McDaniels and PJ tonight.
I like that. But I'm gonna go a little lower on Gafford and move McDaniels up ahead of him.
So just as far as Lively, Gafford, Nas, do you rank them Lively, Gafford, Nas just like that? And put Derek Jones in there too.
Lively, Gafford, Nas. Nas and Gafford are close because I think at the end of the day, they could possibly see the same amount of minutes, like 20. Yeah, like I wouldn't be shocked if they both played 20. Maybe Gafford plays an extra couple minutes, but like I think it's possible. And Nas at home is better. I feel like those type of guys play a little better at home. So I don't know. Maybe I do go lower on. I feel like Nas got faded out in a game where he should have played more in, which kind of tells you all you need to know, right? Like unless he's banging threes out of the gate. right, Tony? Where like they can't take him out. I don't think they want him in there.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, I mean, that's probably where I'd go. Choke. Let's see. Choke and hold him. He's got Gafford, Lively, Reed.
That's the safe route. I think that's for sure the safe route because Gafford's looked really good and he's starting. Gafford should definitely be safer than the other two, 100%. And Gafford's looked good too. We've liked Lively. I like the ownership on Lively and the uncertainty too. I don't necessarily want any of them, though. That's why I want minutes. I just keep saying I want minutes. I want these guys that are going to play. And Kyle Anderson, I think at 3,600 is awesome. I honestly feel pretty good about all my numbers on here right now. The last range, though, we both love Kyle Anderson. We kind of got him in there, so that's covered. He's in a range of his own, too, a little bit. But the three cheapies, which is important, Josh Green, Hardy, nah. That's how I'm ranking it. I lowered nah. And honestly, I want to always put a 2K guy in just for the roster construction, just to have it in there, just to see if that 400 makes a difference. And the only 2K guy that I think you could play is Exum. So I'm not even going to I'm going to give him 2 points just to have it in there.
Yeah, I'm not playing him, but that's me
personally. I just think you should always, if you're playing 150, you should always have, even if you project him literally 0, just to have it in there, because you never know when that build that you need the 2K to make it work. But I get it.
The only thing I would say, I probably don't want a ton, but they are cheap enough where you could get a random lineup through with like.
Man, I couldn't do that, but I get it.
Non-slow-mo, but
I think I get. You never know when he actually makes a few shots, though. I mean, it is possible that he just makes a few shots at home.
He's been so bad offensively in the playoffs.
And you can tell his team lost confidence in him too, like his teammates and stuff. Like he's had some bad turnovers too, where he just does some stupid stuff.
The only thing I will say is I don't believe that Anthony Edwards lose confidence in anyone, at least visually. And he's going to still tell those guys like to shoot and shit, but it's probably not the same. You know what I mean? As like before. Like when he's building them up, like there's probably a little difference that you can tell because Nah has clearly lost confidence offensively in the playoffs.
So who's your Minnesota captains? Like in 150, not anything, just for the sake of this, because I like the 4 that can play minutes. Not minutes. Ant, Conley, McDaniels, Slow-Mo would be who I'm going to leave in for the sake of this.
For captain, I'm not playing slow-mo in the captain.
What if you don't know the builds yet? What if 19 he's like massive? What if it gets us a bunch of stuff? This is just for the sake of.
I just don't see him being the winner in captain. I could see Conley being the winner again. I guess like that could happen in that mid tier. I don't know. I don't see Kyle Anderson being the winner, but I mean you could leave him in there. I'm just not personally going to do it.
I think Dallas is even easier for captain, though. I mean, the only ones I'm leaving in for sure are Luka, Kyrie, PJ. And you probably don't even like.
Is kind of easy. I want like 3 captains. Like,
well, again, you're talking not one on 150. You need more than 3 guys.
Well, yeah, on 150 you may need more than 3.
Well, I agree with you on a smaller number. Like I'm only playing Luka.
But I'm saying though, like most people watching this show are playing not 150. I would bet. So, like in that scenario, it's Ant, it's Luka, and who's your third guy? Who's the third guy for you?
I'm about to run my numbers right now, but before I run them, my third guy would definitely be PJ.
Your guy would be PJ?
Yeah.
My guy, I feel like Mike Conley's a cop-out answer, but he's my favorite guy in that range.
It's the pivot to PJ anyway, so you're basically saying the same thing as me or the other way.
It's just there's no other guys, and he already did it. I just feel like it's a cop-out answer, though, but I just don't like that range. So I know for a fact, though, I'm going to get –
What does that mean? You play 150 of the same team? Why would you do that?
No, that's not what – hopefully that's not what he's doing.
It can't be.
Imagine. I've seen it actually where someone shipped tournaments with just
in
like
showdown. It's even worse than some other thing because, man, like you would. Yeah, DK's down. I guess the chat keeps saying. I mean, it doesn't matter though. You don't need the slate doesn't start for how long? An hour.
An hour? Yeah, an hour. So
It'll be back. Let's see what
hopefully,
we get. I'm interested though because I bumped Luca and Ant even more just because we wanted them on everything. So we'll see what we get of them because we cranked them.
yeah, you great though. I'm running mine too right now, so I want to see how similar because our numbers are pretty close. They're not the exact same, but I think they're going to be on par. So I'm interested to see.
Well, one thing to note too, like Benny has, if you have MLB lineups, was there any? I don't have my baseball up. Hold on. If there was any games what time were the game times for baseball?
7:20, I think, was the first game that locked, and then it was like
Damn, it was. I was gonna say.
I think
if
there's
there was
one
like
late game, right? There's one late game.
If there was like a game that was locking right now, though, I was gonna tell everyone about the how it's always like the free roll if you complain where you can't edit before the game, but there wasn't a game, so it won't matter. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, the late games, the Angels game. That's the late game. So
let's run. Let's start with running the contest sims here and see what we get. Gallon got hurt.
Gallon's out already. That's not good. It's like the first inning, isn't it? Oof.
Let's see. Okay, so with the Sims, wow! I didn't even know I left McDaniels in the captain, but somehow with the Sims, McDaniels hits my winning captain. McDaniels, Kyle Anderson, and I mean that is a nice team. To be fair, you got a lot of minutes with this team. You got the three: Derek Jones minutes, Luca, PJ, and Kyle Anderson, McDaniels. I actually don't hate that team. The Ant is the number 2. Ant, Anderson, I mean, that team right there is awesome. Luca, Jaden Hardy. I mean, that team's awesome. I love that. Minnesota, 4 Minnesota guys, Luca and Hardy.
That was like running the Sims, Tony?
This is with the Sims right now.
Okay.
So we talked about the Minnesota rotation being a lot shorter. I like this team a lot, especially if you like Minnesota tonight. I like this team a lot. So
let's see what mine is.
Here's Conley. Here's your Conley team where you got Conley, Kyle Anderson. This might be your team, honestly. Derek Jones, Luca. I like this team a lot too. So
my top team's a Luca captain team with the Sims.
It is.
It's a 3-3 Luca captain team. But it's all the guys we kind of talked about.
Gotta be this team right here. Luca, Josh Green, Derek Jones, Kyle Anderson.
Somehow Nas hit the team.
Oh.
With me under projecting him too.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's with the Sims though. I want to see how much I get him.
As far as captains, Luca and Ant, top 2. The McDaniels gets more love than I thought. It's because I bumped him a bunch, though, to be fair. I bumped him high. I honestly bumped him too high. I'm going to lower him before I actually run it, but I do like him. Kyle Anderson and PJ don't hit much. So I honestly think people always ask this, favorite captains.
How much did you bump Jaden McDaniels, Tony?
To like 29 or something, I think.
Oh, that's why you got a shitload of them.
But I honestly like him a lot. But, yeah, take him out of there. I honestly – and Conley – I have Conley under PJ, but that difference in price gets him almost double the captains. So I'm honestly, after looking at this, going with you where I think the best captains are obviously Luca and Ant, but Conley and PJ would be that next tier, and then McDaniels if you wanted it even cheaper. Those would be kind of my captains. Now let's look real quick.
The McDaniels one is interesting because
I like the McDaniels build. I'll be honest because it gets everything you want in there. And who's to say McDaniels playing 40 minutes can't get like 30 fantasy points? I honestly really like that.
And he could make a bunch of shots today. He's got to do it scoring though. Is the thing with McDaniels, like scoring and like stocks.
Player pool too.
So yeah, I know. Me too. I got to get.
As far as my projections though, now real quick, and then we'll get out of here because I got to put up my stuff. But as far as just projections, I got Ant, Kyle Anderson, Conley, McDaniels. I mean, I think we had this team in the other one. I love this for an Ant captain. Luca and Hardy. I think this was the second best sim one. but you got 4 good Minnesota guys. And then the McDaniels one hits second with the Sims. So, or with my projection. So similar teams. Let's look at the captains. Similar in the captains too. Yeah, a lot of the same stuff. I mean, exposure, Luka, and let's see if I got 12% Exum with a tiny projection. I like that. Tiny amount of Kyrie and Cat, which I also want to be under on those guys.
Those guys are going to be you're going to be way under on just naturally.
I like where we're at. I feel good with all our numbers.
No, I think that's good. I mean, I think we went almost 2 hours for a 1-game basketball. But to be fair, we haven't been on talking hoops in a couple of days, so we had a lot to talk about. And I didn't even get into Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears. I mean, we could have went to completely different avenues of sports if we wanted to, Tony, for a little bit to talk about something. I could have talked about my best ball drafts with Rubio Dimes earlier today. I won't go that far with Big T on, but if you guys want your best ball drafts rated, at Big T 44 is the best rater in town from what I've heard in the Twitter streets. He will rate your best ball teams from 1 to 5, I think is how they do it nowadays. The kids get the 1 to 5 grades, I think. But so yeah, he'll do it 1 to 5. Right, Tony?
Yeah.
Number 1. All right. Tony, let's give our winners and let's get out of here for the day. First of all, who's winning the game tonight? And then who's your favorite overall play on the slate?
I hope Minnesota wins as far as my series bet and to get us more NBA action over the weekend. But I'm picking Dallas to close it out tonight, unfortunately.
Damn it. Is it really 1 to 4, Landa? Damn it. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, by the way. No, what kid wants a 1, 2, 3, or 4 for a grade? Where the hell are the damn F's and A's? Just give the kids the damn F's and A's.
In Kentucky, they get A's to F's still.
Unbelievable. The kids want A's, B's, C's, D's, F's. Give them the frigging grades. Stop with this 1 to 4 bullshit. All right, so you think Dallas wins?
I definitely like it. There's not much conviction in that, though. I'm just picking it to have a pick.
I will say, I have not been great in this series, other than telling people that the series, all these games are going to be close, and they all were close. But I've been wrong a lot in the series, so I'll give it to the Dallas fans. I'm going to go with my Minnesota team. I will say I am a little biased. I will say I've got some futures that heavily favor and benefit me rooting on Minnesota, but we're back at home. We got to win one of these home games, Tony. At one point, we got to win one of these home games. It feels like Ant is slowly playing better trajectory-wise, like in the playoffs, in this series. Started off really rough in game 1. I feel like he played his best game, even though it wasn't like a great overall game, in my opinion. It was his best game of the series last game. And I think he brings it up a level again today. So
I'm with K Reed. I don't believe you think that.
That's what I think, and I'm sticking to it, baby. I'm sticking to my guns. And if they lose, I'll fucking take it out. I don't care. Minnesota, I'm rooting for Ant tonight. So you guys can suck it. Hopefully they win, and we can have a chance at more basketball. Because Tony, it'll suck if I have to wait like 7 more days until the finals. That will definitely suck.
I definitely am rooting for Minnesota for that aspect.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it here. I will post a single game parlay in the chat, Rouse Golf Pro. I won't forget about you, brother. I'll try and do it a little quicker after I get my cores and player pool up on the site. Tony, thanks for doing the show. I know you were hurting today, so appreciate you battling through it for the people and myself and everyone out there. Hopefully enjoy your night. Hopefully whoever you bet wins, and we'll see you guys next time, hopefully for game 6. Until then, for Big T, I'm JSU. We'll catch you guys later. We're out. Peace.